ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायण नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। अष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवति उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 22, Part 2. Maitrevacha स उग्रधन्वं इयद् एवा भभासे आसीच्च तूष्णीम् अरविन्दनाभं धियोपगृह्णन् स्मितशोभितेन मुखेन चेतो लुलुभे देवाहूत्याः. Sri Maitreya said, O great warrior, Vidura, the sage Kardama said this much only and then became silent. By the way, I forgot to ask, is audio and screen sharing is working as expected?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, sorry. So I repeat again. Sri Maitreya said, O great warrior Vidura, the sage Kardama said this much only and then became silent, thinking of his worshipable Lord Vishnu, who has a lotus on his navel. As he silently smiled, his face captured the mind of Devahūti, who began to meditate upon the great sage.
It's not in recording mode, I think.
Uh, the cloud is full. We don't have space there.
Okay.
सोनो ज्ञात्वा व्यवसितं महिष्याद्दुहितुः स्मृतः तस्मै गुणाध्याय ददौ तुल्यां प्रहर्षितः. After having unmistakably known the decision of the queen as well as that of Devahūti, the emperor most gladly gave his daughter to the sage, whose host of virtues was equaled by hers. शतरूपा महाराज्ञी पारिबर्हान् महाधनान् दम्पत्यो पर्यदात् प्रीत्या भूषावासः परिच्छदान्. Empress Shatarupa lovingly gave most valuable presents suitable for the occasion, such as jewelry, clothes, and household articles, in dowry to the bride and bridegroom. वृत्तादहितरं दुहितरं सम्राट् सदृक्षाय गतः व्यतः उपगुह्य च बाहुभ्याम् औकन्त्योन्मत्तिताशयः. Thus relieved of his responsibility by handing over his daughter to a suitable man, Swayambhuva Manu, his mind agitated by feelings of separation, embraced his affectionate daughter with both his arms. अशक्नुवंस्तद्विरहं मुञ्चाभाष्पकलामुहुः आसिञ्चद् अम्ब वत्सेति नेत्रोदयैर्दुहितः शिखाः. The emperor was unable to bear the separation of his daughter. Therefore, tears poured from his eyes again and again, drenching his daughter's head as he cried, My dear mother, my dear daughter. आमन्त्र्य तं मुनिवरम् अनुज्ञातः सहानुगः प्रतस्ते रथम् आरुह्य सभार्यः स्वपुरं नृपः. उभयो ऋषिकुल्यायाः सरस्वत्याः सुरोदशोः ऋषीणाम् उपशान्तानां पश्यन् आश्रम सम्पदः. After asking and obtaining the great sage's permission to leave, the monarch mounted his chariot with his wife and started for his capital, followed by his Ritu. Along the way, he saw the prosperity of the tranquil seas, beautiful hermitages on both the charming banks of Saraswati, the river so agreeable to saintly persons. तमायन्तम् अभिप्रेत्य ब्रह्मावर्तात् प्रजाः पतिं गीता संस्तुति वारित्रैर्वादित्रैः प्रत्युदीयुष प्रहर्षिताः. Overjoyed to know of his arrival, his subjects came forth from Brahmavarta to greet their returning lord with songs, prayers, and musical instruments. बार्हिष्मती नाम पुरी सर्वसम्पत्समन्विता न्यपतन् यत्र रोमाणि यज्ञस्याङ्ग विदुन्वता कुशाकाशात एवासन् सस्वधरित वर्चसा ऋषयो ये पराभाव्य यज्ञाज्ञान् यज्ञम् ईजरे. The city of Barhishmati, rich in all kinds of wealth, was so called because Lord Vishnu's hair dropped there from his body when he manifested himself as Lord Boar. As he shook his body, this very hair fell and turned into blades of evergreen kusha grass and kasha, another kind of grass used for mats, by means of which the sages worshipped Lord Vishnu after defeating the demons who had interfered with performance of their sacrifices. कुशाकाशमयं बर्हिर् आश्री आस्तीर्य भगवान् मनुः अयजत् यज्ञपुरुषं लब्ध्वा स्थानं यतो भुवम्. Manu spread a seat of Kusha and Kasha and worshipped the Lord, the personality of Godhead by whose grace he had obtained the rule of the terrestrial globe. Barhishmatim nama vibhur Yam nirvishya samavasat tasyam pravishto bhavanam tapatraya vinashanam. Having entered the city of Bahishmati, in which he had previously lived, Manu entered his palace, which was filled with an atmosphere that eradicated the three miseries of material existence. Sabharyah saprajah kaman bhunje babuje अन्याविरोधता सङ्गीयमाना सत्कीर्तिः शस्त्रीभिः सुरगायकैः प्रति उष्येष्व अनुबद्धेन हृदा शृण्वन् हरे कथाः. Emperor Swayambhu Manu enjoyed life with his wife and subjects and fulfilled his desires without being disturbed by unwanted principles contrary to the principal process of religion. Celestial musicians and their wives sang in chorus about the pure reputation of the emperor, and early in the morning every day he used to listen to the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead with a loving heart. Nishnatam Yogamayasu Munim Swayam Bhuvam Manu Yad Abhramyasyatam Bhoga Na Shekur Bhagavat Param. Thus, Swayambhu Manu was a saintly king. Although absorbed in material happiness, he was not dragged to the lowest grade of life, for he always enjoyed his material happiness in a Krishna conscious atmosphere. अयातयामस्तस्यासन् यामः स्वान्तर यापनाः शृण्वतो ध्यायतो विष्णो कुर्वतो भ्रुवतः कथाः. Consequently, although his duration of life gradually came to an end, his long life, consisting of Manvantara era, was not spent in vain, since he ever engaged in hearing, contemplating, writing down, and chanting the pastimes of the Lord. स एव स्वान्तरं निन्ये युगानाम् सप्ततिं वासुदेव प्रसङ्गेन परिभूतगतिः त्रयः. He passed his time, which lasted 71 cycles of 4 ages, 71 times 4, 4,320,000 years, always thinking of Vasudeva and always engaged in matters regarding Vasudeva. Thus, he transcended the three destinations. Sharira manasa divyam vayaseye cha manushaha bhautikascha katam klesham badante hari samshrayam. Therefore, O Vidura, How can persons completely understand the shelter of Lord Krishna in devotional service be put into miseries pertaining to body, mind, nature, and other men and living creatures? यः पृश्चो मुनिभिः प्राह धर्मानानाविधान् शुभान् नृणां वर्णाश्रमाणां च सर्वभूतहितः सदा. In reply to the questions asked by the certain sages, he, Swayambhuva Manu, out of compassion for all living entities, taught the diverse sacred duties of men in general and the different varnas and ashramas. एतत्ता आदिराजस्य मनोश्चरितम् अद्भुतं वर्णितं वर्णनीयस्य तद् अपत्योदयं शृणु. I have spoken to you of the wonderful character of Swayambhuva Manu, the original king, whose reputation is worthy of description. Please hear as I speak of the flourishing of his daughter Devahūti. Hare Krishna. Thus ends this chapter 22 from the Canto 3 entitled The Marriage of Kardama Muni and Devahūti. Hare Krishna. So, this is in continuation about Swayambhuva Manu and Shatarupa. They come in search of a very suitable bridegroom for his daughter. And they come to this very serene hermitage of Kardama Muni, which is on the bank of Saraswati. And seeing Kardama Muni, who has, of course, performed a great penance, though he looked a bit soiled, but he had some great tejas. He was, yeah, bright. And after receiving the king with due formalities, with all etiquettes, then Kardama Muni asks Swayambhuva Manu, O king, though you have come all the way, and of course it is mainly as a Kshatriya you protect the Brahmanas and the people and animals and everything, but is there something if I can serve you? And after that, Swayambhu Manu glorifies himself in a way that he is the father of Priyavrata and Uttanapada and also Devahūti. Yeah. And Devahūti, who has come to the age of marriage, is looking for a suitable husband in par with her character, in par with her age, in par with her qualities, and that brings us to you. And then taking further, Swayambhu Manu also says it's such an offer. Usually one shouldn't take it easy. The highest authority for me is the unlimited supreme personality of Godhead, from whom this wonderful creation emanates and in whom it sustains and dissolution. He is the origin of all Prajapatis and the personality meant to produce living entities. So this is what mm, Kardama Muni expresses after hearing that how can I deny? How can I? It is such a great honor to have a uh, wife like Devahūti, who is glorified and who is very, very beautiful, who has all great qualities. And in fact, she has solely uh, wanted or showed interest to marry me. So all these are very nice things. So yeah, I would abide. And after that, yeah, we come to this part. Maitreya said uh, that the sage Kardamuni said this much only and then became silent. That he agreed to the proposal and that's it. Being a sage, being a very controlled sage, he just immediately absorbed himself in remembering Lord Vishnu. Uh, and as he silently smiled, his face captured the mind of Devahūti, who began to meditate upon the great sage. This is very nice. The smile of such a Krishna conscious person is so attractive that simply by smiling, he wins so many admirers, disciples, and followers. Yeah, it's a great quality to be in this mood of always smiling. Yeah, not so easy because what is it said? The face is index of mind and for a good reason. And one can see by seeing the face, what is he going through, what is the inner um, inner inner peace, how is it affected. And then after having unmistakably known the decision of the queen as well as Devahūti, the emperor most gladly gave his daughter to the sage. So in this way, now Shatarupa, after this alliance and after this marriage, she has given whatever she has brought with in elephants and etc. suitable for the occasion, such as jewelry, clothes, household articles in dowry to the bride and bridegroom. Interesting, na? Sometimes we may hear what is it? Either it is a dowry given to the boy, or there was this, what is the other thing? Kanya Shulka, that in order in those days when the girls were not in that many or quantity, that against the male, so male were dominating at that time. There was shortage of girls, so at that time there was Kanya Shulka. Of course, kings or jamindars, they used to give a lot of money so that they can again marry, because unlike now, it was allowed to marry more girls. And in order that someone can take care of an old jamindar, he used to find a very young girl. And for that, what he used to do is he used to arrange all the wealth that is needed for the girl's house, and that is was going on. So, but here we can see Shatarupa is giving dowry to bride and bridegroom. Yeah. Paribharhan Mahadhanan means the dowry which must be awarded to the bridegroom at the time of marriage. Here, Mahadanan means great valuable gifts befitting the dowry of empress. So here, yeah, after all, Devahūti is the daughter of Swayambhu Manu Shatarupa, and they are the emperors. All things befitting the marriage ceremony were awarded to Kardama Muni, who was until now observing celibacy as brahmachari. That is the reason why all these facilities were given by Shatarupa is, yeah, he was living a very simple life. And the queen was a bit, yeah, no, my daughter who has all comforts all the time. So let us give all whatever we can on this occasion. In this way, Kardama Muni was married with full opulence to a qualified wife and was empowered with necessary paraphernalia for household life. The dowry system is not illegal, and purport one can read. I am not speaking my opinion. Dowry system is not illegal as some have tried to prove. The dowry is a gift given to the daughter by the father to show goodwill, and it is compulsory. In rare cases where the father is completely unable to give a dowry, it is enjoined that he must at least give a fruit and a flower. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, God can also be pleased even by a fruit and a flower. When there is financial inability and no question of accumulating a dowry by another means, one can give a fruit and flower for satisfaction of the bridegroom. So it means it is not a force, it's not one has to squeeze something out of the bride side. No, it is that one, according to his capacity, that of course, what he can give should be given, and it's not illegal or it's not unauthorized, it is approved. In any dealings also, it's not, it's an obvious, yeah? When when we when we are visiting, then we see, okay, let's see how we can help the place where we visit, like that. Thus, relieved of his responsibility by handing over his daughter to a suitable man, Swayambhu Manu uh, embraced his affectionate daughter with both his arms. Yeah. This is also uh, opportunity for the father, or it could even mean sometimes, yeah, because it all depends where the daughter is given. It's almost like an last opportunity for the father to embrace. Yeah. Until now, he had taken care of his daughter with all love and care all these years, and now, yeah, there is a sense of insecurity or sense of anxiety. Prabhupada writes in the purport, a father always remains in anxiety until he had handed over his grown-up daughter to a suitable boy. But This anxiety is there. It's something like, oh, what will happen, because we never know the future. That's why we are always worried. Oh, can I really get a best of the best bridegroom for my daughter? A father and mother's responsibility for children continues until they marry them to suitable spouse. When the father is able to perform that duty, he is relieved of his responsibility. But then what is happening? It's not so easy that, okay, now finally this is the happiest day in my life. No, it is also a very sorrow day. I mean, very painful day, because it is a day of separation of his daughter. Therefore, tears poured from his eyes again and again and drenched his daughter's head as he cried. There is two words that are addressed here. The purport. The word Amba is significant here. My dear mother. A father sometimes addresses his daughter in affection as mother, and sometimes as my darling. The feeling of separation occurs because until the daughter is married, she remains the daughter of the father. But after her marriage, she is no longer claimed as a daughter in the family. She must go to the husband's house, for after marriage, she becomes the property of the husband. According to Manu Samhita, a woman is never independent. We know this, we have heard that a woman is, until she gets married, is under the shelter of the father, which means not independent. Yeah. Oh, one may give all freedom, that is different, but cannot be independent. Even in that freedom, there is still a dependency of her to her caretaker, who is the father, and afterwards it's the husband. She must remain the property of the father while she is not married, and she must remain the property of the husband until she is elderly and has grown up children of her own. In old age, when husband has taken sannyas and left home, she remains the property of the sons. Of course, property sounds to be very, very commodious kind. No, it means that she is always taken care. A woman is always dependent either upon the father, husband, or elderly sons. That will be exhibited in the life of Devahūti. And here we can see in next three chapters, we will going to see this. This narration will describe these events one after another. And going forward for us, we want to know what happened to Swayambhu Manu. After asking and obtaining the great sage permission to leave, the king, he got onto his chariot with his wife, and he started to go towards his capital. Along the banks of Saraswati, the river is so agreeable to the saintly persons. So this shows Saraswati river. We usually know that Saraswati river is um, Antarpravahi. It is under. We don't see the water. When we went to, what is this? Prayagraj, where Sangam, we can see very clearly the waters that is, yeah, this Yamuna, and also coming from the other side, we see also Ganga, and both of them come together and go. We call it as Sangam, but actually under this is flowing Saraswati. And then overjoyed to know of his arrival. I mean, okay, now we come into what happens in Brahmavarta. In Brahmavarta, the place where Swayambhu Manu stays, everyone is ever eager to receive their king. Yeah? So, and the city of Barhishmati, maybe you may have heard this name in, what is that? This movie called Bahubali. Yeah? Sometimes, yeah, these ideas come not just by own, but by inspired by scriptures. We can see this city, rich in all kinds of wealth, was so called because Lord Vishnu's hair dropped there from his body when he manifested himself as Lord Varaha. If you remember, when we were discussing the pastimes of Lord Varaha Dev, Lord Varaha, Yajna Varaha, when he comes out of the waters, and then when he just wants to free himself from the water, this droplets of water fell and everything became auspicious. But during this process, there is also the hair of Varahadev that fell in this place, and that's why it's called Barhishmati. And this very hair fell and turned into blades of evergreen kusha grass. Sometimes we may know why grass is, or kusha, let me say, is so much regarded, very, very pure. In fact, when we do yajnas, we need kusha grass. And for any even Shraddh also we need this. In fact, why? Because yeah, this is the very hair fell that from Lord Varahadev. Any place directly connected with the Supreme Lord is called Peethasthana. Bahishmati, the capital of Swayambhu Manu, was exalted not because the city was very rich, but because the hairs of Lord Varaha fell at this very spot. These hairs of Lord later grew as green grass, and the sages used to worship the Lord with that grass after the time when Lord killed the demon Hiranyaksha. Yajna, yajna means Vishnu. Yajnartha karma means work done only for satisfaction of Vishnu. Kusha Kasamayam Barhir. So Manu, he spread this Kusha grass and Kasha and worshipped Lord Vishnu. And he obtained great success. And in fact, Prabhupada writes, therefore, everyone should engage in devotional service through Krishna consciousness. If one wants to be happy and peaceful in his position, either as a householder or citizen or member of the human society, one must promote devotional service for the pleasure of the Lord. That is the standard. Having entered the city of Barhishmati, in which he had previously lived, Manu entered his palace, with his which was filled with an atmosphere that eradicated three miseries. What are the three miseries? Miseries pertaining to the body and mind, miseries pertaining to natural disturbances, miseries inflicted by other living entities. What are these? Adhyatmika, Adibhautika, Daivika. These are the kleshas that are there in material world, in the human society. But uh, because Swayambhu Manu is very, very devotional, hmm, that is the reason here how Swayambhu Manu created an atmosphere wherein he was not affected by material miseries is explained late in the next verses. It is said, Emperor enjoyed life with his wife and subjects and fulfilled his desires without being disturbed by unwanted principles or contrary to religion. So whatever he was doing is he was following dharma. And then celestial musicians and their wives sang glories of the king. And every day morning he used to hear to Harikatha. He used to listen to the pastimes of the Supreme Lord with a loving heart. That is such a easy process. Though we are in our day-to-day so many activities, hearing to Bhagavatam, of course, we are hearing in the evening, morning or evening. Very important is to absorb ourselves at least for some time the glories of the Lord. Swayambhuva Manu used to avail himself of this opportunity to live householder life in peace and prosperity of Krishna conscious atmosphere. Uh, and then in this purport, there is whole description about what is Mangala Arati. What is this verse number 33? In fact, it says, as far as temples are concerned, in each and every royal palace or rich man's house, inevitably there is a nice temple, and the members of household rise early in the morning and go to the temple to see the Mangala Arati ceremony. Mangala Arati ceremony is the first worship of the morning. In the Aarti ceremony, a light is offered in circles before the deities, as are a conch shell and flowers and a fan. The Lord is supposed to rise early in the morning and take some light refreshment and give audience to the devotees. The devotees then go back to house and sing the glories of the Lord in the temple. The early morning ceremony still takes place in Indian temples and palaces. Temples are meant for the assembly of general public. Temples within palaces are especially for royal families, but in many of these palace temples, the public is also allowed to visit the temple. I mean, this we can see also what happens in the what is it in Jaipur, Radha Govindji temple. We can see. I think the temple is managed by the king of Rajasthan, right? King of Jaipur, if I'm not wrong. I don't know. Yes, personally, Mataji or Dinath Prabhu is there.
Yes, Prabhuji, yes. It is managed by the king. It is in the city palace. It is.
City Palace, yeah. But we also know that public is allowed, so everyone can come, and not only the local people, foreigners, everyone, there is no restrictions. Temples within the palaces are especially for royal families, but in many of these palace temples, public is allowed. The temple of the king of Jaipur, oh, it's here, I didn't read, is situated within the palace, but the public is allowed to assemble If one goes there, he will see the temple is always crowded with at least 500 devotees. After the Mangalarti ceremony, they sit down together and sing the glories of the Lord. So, with musical instruments. So, this is very nice. And we are fortunate that once we were there and did a very nice kirtan with His Holiness Kadam Kanana Maharaj just behind this Radha Govindji temple. And it was very, very nice. So, thus Swayambhu Manu was a saintly king. Why? Because he was always up there. He always enjoyed his material happiness in Krishna conscious atmosphere. And then after that, consequently, although his duration of life gradually came to an end. What kind of life he came to an end? In the next verse, it is mentioned very long. Huh? Um, yeah, the purport is very nice. If we want to be inspired, I'll just make some note of this. Verse number 35. As freshly prepared food is very tasteful, but if kept for 3 or 4 hours, becomes stale and tasteless, so the existence of material enjoyment can endure as long as life is fresh. But as at the fag end of life, everything becomes tasteless and everything appears to be vain and painful. So, but what is so good about Swayambhu Manu is he is our role model. He is our role model. Why? Because Swayambhu Manu, however, was not tasteless as he grew older. His life remained as fresh as in the beginning because of his continued Krishna consciousness. If we want to take a very important message out of today, it is this. If we want to be ever youthful, doesn't matter though the days are passing. If we want to be ever enjoying, yeah, after all, happiness is our measure of how young are we. Hmm? So the life of Emperor Swayambhu Manu was not tasteless. He grew old. As he grew older, his life remained as fresh as in the beginning because of his Krishna consciousness. The life of a man in Krishna consciousness is always fresh. It is said that the sun rises in the morning and sets in the evening, and its business is to reduce the duration of everyone's life. But the sunrise and sunset cannot diminish the life of one who engages in Krishna consciousness. What does that mean? Does it mean that we don't grow old? Does it mean that days are passing but still we are same? Here we can see Swayambhuva Manu life did not become stale after some time, for he engaged himself always in chanting about the meditate and meditating upon Lord Vishnu. He was the greatest yogi because he never wasted his time. When we don't waste time, that's how we can be ever youthful. It's time, when we say time is passing, it means that we have not made the best use of that time. But when we use the best use of the time, we are not counting that we are growing old, because all the time that is there, we have used it in the service. It is stated that his life, Swayambhu life was 71 yugas. 71 yugas is not ordinary time. And all this time he was youthful. How? I mean, when we say youthful doesn't mean physically youth. It's all about that he was absorbed in and he was always seeking happiness. Therefore, his life was not wasted, nor did he become stale because he was talking about and meditating upon Krishna. In fact, I think in this it is said he was writing, uh, chanting, hearing, talking, writing, meditating upon Krishna. He passed, is it this one? He passed his time, which lasted 71 cycles of 4 yugas, always thinking of Vasudeva and always engaged in matters regarding Vasudeva. Thus, he transcended 3 destinations. Purport, it says, what are 3 destinations? One destination is in awakened state. The second is dreaming. Third one is unconscious state. So it didn't matter anything for him because he was about. Another 3 states which are mentioned are, according to Bhagavad Gita, the modes of passion, ignorance, and goodness. He crossed all these 3. But in the purport, it says, but one who is Krishna conscious is above the 3 modes of material nature. In fact, therefore, one who fully engages in devotional service is always liberated. Bilva Mangal Thakur, a great devotee of the Lord, stated, "If I unflinchingly, if I have unflinching devotion to the lotus feet of Krishna, then mother liberation is always engaged in my service, which means one who is a bhakta, moksha is already given. Hmm. So devotees do not care for these. They are situated always in transcendental platform which is called Brahma Bhuta stage of self-realization. Sharira Manasa Divya Vayase Ye Cha Manashaha Bhautikascha Katham Klesha Badhante Hari Shamshrayam. This is very important question. So Maitreya is asking Vidura a question. How can persons completely under the shelter of Lord Krishna in devotional service be put into miseries pertaining to body, mind, nature, and other men and activities? So, for who is it? For Swayambhu Manu, who is always absorbed in Krishna consciousness, there is nothing because Lord will take care of him, which means all so kind of miseries and all these things are really not miseries. The tapatraya is not at all a problem. Why? Because the Lord is going to take care. In reply to questions asked by the sages, Swayambhumanu, out of compassion of all living entities, taught the diverse sacred duties of men in general and different varnas and ashramas. I think somewhere I missed one purport where it mentions that this Swayambhuva Manu, we are actually coming from Swayambhuva Manu. Manu is where this word Manava is coming because we are coming in the order of Swayambhuva Manu, human. And saying, so I have spoken to you of the wonderful character of Swayambhu Manu, the original king, whose reputation is worthy of description. And after this, Maitreya Rishi says, please hear as I speak of flourishing of his daughter Devahūti. That's very, very nice chapter that tomorrow please don't miss. Yeah, this is very nice. Where we will be discussing the greatness of Devahūti. And in fact, the last verse of that chapter is very nice. Anyway, let's discuss tomorrow. Thank you very much for your time. Hare Krishna. If no questions or thoughts, we can close the day.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for the nice recitation, Prabhuji.
Hare
Apart
Krishna.
from apart from the other things, two aspects that stood out was you mentioned who are in Krishna consciousness. Their smile gives a lot of bliss. So I think that's something that I always experienced, Prabhuji, in your association. So that was very nice. And also Swayambhu Manu, you said he's not
Yeah,
seeming.
that reminds me. Yeah, when you see our Keshav Maharaj, na, his smile is enchanting, all attracting. That it shows that he's not on or he's on a totally different platform. And also we see when Bhakti Charu Maharaj smiles. Yeah, I mean so many the sages and Bhakti Bhushan Maharaj when he smiles.
Yes.
Amazing. and and I think you have seen experience also Jayadvaita Maharaj when he's saintly people.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
close corners, Prabhuji, with Jayas Maharaj. And uh, so that was one thing. And next thing is also Swayambhu Manu, the way you mentioned, they don't get aged. I think that's something, the way that is already written in the Shastras and, what we experience today seems to be even relevant, Prabhuji. So these two are very captivating. But for the other things, was also nice, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Correct.
Thank you very much. Okay, then thank you very much. Have a nice evening. Vanchakalpatarabhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। Thank God.